Hello, everyone. All right, today we are going to continue talking about integers. We're going to start talking about opposites, and we are also going to be talking about absolute value. So opposites are exactly what you think they are. Opposite is a number that has the same distance from zero, but on the other side. So the opposite of 2 is negative 2. The opposite of negative 1 is positive 1. Opposites are going to be important for us to learn, and so here we go. Let's give them a try. We're going to skip those examples just because I think we can go through them. So, what is the opposite of 3? Correct. It's negative 3. Now, letter B gets a star because this one's specific and it's a little different. This one's saying, what is the opposite of the opposite of negative 2? Well, the opposite of the opposite is almost like a double negative. And like in LA class, in language arts, you guys learned that a double negative cancels each other out. So for instance, if I say, I'm not going to the store, then you are going to the store. So the opposite of negative 2 means that I go to so if negative 2's over here, negative 2's there, I go, what is the opposite of the opposite? Oh, well, that means I end up right back where I am. So the opposite is exactly what we think it is. The opposite of the opposite gets me back to my original. That's important for us to understand. All right, let's move on to the next page. Next, we're going to be talking about absolute value. Absolute value is a fancy way of saying, what's the positive version of the number? Absolute value has symbols, and so people don't always just say, hey, find the absolute value. They use these symbols, these 2 lines. So for instance, if I wanted to know, hey, what's the absolute value of negative 5? I would write it like that. And I would be able to answer that and say it's 5. Because absolute value isn't asking about what this number actually is. It's asking how far is negative 5 from 0. It doesn't care about which direction you're going, whether it's in negative land or positive land. It's just telling you how far do you go? How many steps do you have to take? So negative 5 is 5 steps away. And so it's 5. So say it with me. Absolute value is always positive. The only reason why that's not the definition is because we have 0. The absolute value of 0 is 0, and 0 is neutral. So we're going to be given problems like this. Evaluate the absolute value of negative 7. And you would tell me it's 7. Now, why don't we give these a shot for me real quick? What's the absolute value of 4? What's the absolute value of negative? And I want you to write these down in your book. And what's the absolute value of 112? Find those absolute values. What'd you get? You should have gotten 4, 3, and 112. No matter if the number on the inside is negative or if the number on the inside is positive, your answer will always be positive. So because of this, we get to go ahead and we get to do math problems. Now what we have to understand is the first thing you're given when we're going to go to these got it problems, the first thing that you have to do is you have to find the absolute value and then solve. So we're going to write find absolute value, find absolute value, and then our second step is to solve. Okay, so letter C is, what's the absolute value of 14? 14. Good job. Letter D says, what's the absolute value of -9 plus the absolute value of 3? I cannot solve this way. For those of you that have started to learn a little bit about integers and know what -9 plus 3 is, please remember, this is not that problem. This is an absolute value problem. So you have to first find the absolute value of 9, find the absolute value of 3, and then solve. So again, I find the absolute value of -8. I find the absolute value of the absolute value of -2, and then solve. I'm not adding, subtracting integers here. I'm adding and subtracting with absolute value. All right. So I want us to go ahead and we are going to look at number 6 here on the next page. It says, a seagull is flying 20 feet above sea level. Nevaeh is diving 15 feet below sea level. What's the distance between Nevaeh and the seagull? Please listen up. This is a different type of problem than we've ever done. So I want you to think about this. The seagull is flying 25 feet above sea level. Nevaeh is diving 15 feet below sea level. What's the distance between them? And the distance between them is 40 feet. And the reason why is because you have to have this 25 feet plus this 15 feet. So we have to be careful when we're given problems that look like this, when they talk about something being above sea level and something being below sea level. If they want to know the distance, we actually have to put them together. Let's go ahead and I want you guys to go ahead and do numbers 1 through 6 on your own. 1 through 6.